After returning from this DMT journey, I got the idea of smoking Salvinorin and DMT simultaneously. At the time, I did not think to consult with either the Salvia entity or the DMT entity, and proceeded with my planned experiment. I smoked 30 milligrams of DMT in 3 tokes, followed immediately by 650 micrograms of Salvinorin that I had preloaded in a separate pipe. The effects were felt almost immediately. The first thing I noticed was a grid of crosshatch patterns. I had perceived something similar when using 2CB with mushrooms, which I believed to be the result of using 2 psychedelics that were not compatible with each other. However, in this case, the patterns were defined to a much sharper degree, and it seemed apparent that these 2 substances affect consciousness in differing ways that are not synchronistic when used together. Both the Salvia and DMT entities seemed to have been taken entirely off guard and had not been expecting this confrontation. These entities seemingly paid no attention to me as their attention was entirely fixed on each other. It soon became apparent that the 2 were going to battle, vying to determine who would have control of my consciousness. It was like a scene of 2 gods battling in a mythological tale. At first, it seemed that DMT, with its ability to manifest in spectacular forms, displaying its might, power, and ferociousness, would tower up above the Salvia entity and overpower it. But the Salvia entity moves very fast, is extremely maneuverable, and has a silent, stealthy force that will not be denied. Soon the Salvia entity was running circles around and had interpenetrated the DMT. It was not a pretty scene to watch, but Salvia took the upper hand. The visions I was seeing while watching this battle were severely distorted, smushed, reversed, and turned sideways. All the favorite creatures of DMT Elfland were put together with the wrong body pans or body parts in the wrong places. Their normally gaudy outfits had been turned into white and brown plaid shins, and they were wearing brown leather shoes and carrying brown briefcases. Millions of these miserable little creatures were frantically running around as door-to-door salesmen. They were moving perpendicular to everything else on the surface of their planet, as though they were obeying a gravitational force that was at a 90-degree angle from everything in their surroundings. By the end, it seemed that DMT was unhappy and had lost face by being unseated, possibly for the first time. The Salvia entity seemed reasonably comfortable in her ability to deal with DMT, although she seemed glad that the battle was over, and still very surprised that I had introduced her to something that actually wanted to overpower her and had made a significant attempt. Fortunately, neither of these entities seemed extremely upset with me the next time I confronted them. I've recently had some experiences where these 2 seemed to be working together to make changes in my psyche, although I had used them on separate occasions. However, I will probably never combine these entheogens again, unless I get a clear message from both of them that this is desired. I also have not used Salvinorin with mushrooms, since psilocybin is very closely related to DMT. So that was a small story, but a very interesting one. It's one of those weeks where I work every day up until Sunday, so I knew I couldn't go this whole week without getting a video out. Even if the video's small, it's still a video. The excerpt that I read for all of you came from a book called Salvinorin, the Psychedelic Essence of Salvia Divinorum by D.M. Turner. I found the excerpt in the Drugs Forum website first, and then it was also on Arrowhead, so I read it from there. The book is actually priced at $298.99. I find that to be completely absurd, but if you're serious about Salvia, then maybe it's a good purchase. I don't know. The story details how he did Salvia and DMT together, and 2 entities met. I did a video like this before on Datura, and how the guy took it to receive sexual pleasure from a shadow entity. The story sounds more like a fan fiction, but interesting nonetheless. Go check it out if you haven't already. This is different though, because this guy was an author and wrote books about drugs and what they do. I feel like what happened to him was definitely real. What I really took away from this was that it's so cool how someone could even do this in the first place. I personally would probably freak out seeing two entities clash against each other, but Turner seemed to find a lot of enjoyment in it. It was also interesting to see that in this quote-unquote battle, the Salvia prevailed and was stronger than the DMT. I for sure thought that DMT was a much more mind-altering drug, since its origin is literally from the mind. Salvia is strong, don't get me wrong. Hey, that rhymed. Shut the fuck up. But DMT seems to be on a different level. Now my opinion might be wrong because I've yet to do either. I'm much more intrigued to do DMT, just because it seems to have a more positive effect. But if I knew nothing bad was going to happen to me on the Salvia, then I would for sure like to try some. Let me know what you guys think about this combination, and comment down below if you have ever done it or want to try it. Maybe your brain can draw up some entities, and they can confront one another. Please leave a like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you haven't checked out my podcast, give it a listen. It's on YouTube here on my channel, but also on Spotify too, along with the compilation trip reports I made. The link will be in the description. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and be safe if you do try any of these drugs. Just know your limit, and make sure you're in a comfortable setting.